How to conduct class research is our topic. So this is a presentation designed to assist you in understanding effective research for the virtual, traditional, and even ITV classes that we have. So let's look at our agenda. We'll talk a little bit about objectives and why it's important to build those and have them. We'll go into data or information collection, the significance there, resources, the quality of our work, and then the ethics behind what we do. So when we look at objectives, we really have to have a framework. What primarily are the objectives that we'd like to be able to tackle? And within that framework, we are setting expectations about what we're going to be able to accomplish, and in some cases not accomplish. The length requirements are important. So if you're given some work assignment, a paper, a project to do, how long do you have in order to complete that? And then how should it be formatted? Is it a Word document? Is it something else? What pitch, what font should be used? And then what are the deadlines? And you can almost reverse engineer objectives and figure out, okay, based upon this framework that you build that has all these components in it, if I know that I have something due in 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 quarters, I can almost work backwards to try to be able to complete that task. And then who is the audience? And even though your instructor may be the audience in this case, you may be given assignments or tasks or projects that have different audiences that you would speak to. A little bit more about objectives. 3 primary types that we like to talk about. There are behavioral level objectives. So this is really looking at people's behavior and trying to change those based upon the objectives that you have. You have community level objectives focused on the community versus the individual level in what you do. And then there's process level objectives. These are based upon implementation as a whole. So what you need to mostly pull from this is that these are not mutually exclusive of each other. In fact, you need to almost draw a line through them and be able to incorporate all of them into how you're able to build a framework for the objectives that you have when you're looking at conducting research. A little bit more about objectives. They need to be SMART. So in this case, they need to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and then timed, or in this case, they need to work on a timeline. Again, SMART types of goals and objectives are extremely important. So let's shift gears a little bit to data collection. When we're looking at trying to pull information, it really gives you some advantages. You have a starting point, so it provides you with that starting point. And then you have personal collection. So these can be surveys, questions, interviews. This is work that you would personally do and have a personal contact in that you can use to help collect data for you. And then you can have previous collection. So this is work that's already been done and collected by someone else. This is where things are most common for people in the way of data collection and pulling information. And of course, when it is not personal collection and it is previous collection, you need to be careful because you don't want to cite information or data or pertinent collection of valuable information that is not yours. What's realistic to be able to collect in X time frame? And remember when we talked about the SMART goals in the previous slide, we need to understand what is going to be realistic for us in the framework that we're working within. And then verify the collection of information. And this is extremely important in the way of data collection. You're not looking at a single source in how you pull and research information. You, if nothing else, are trying to triangulate 3 or more resources that you would pull data from in order to help validate the theory that you are building in the way of your research and what you're doing. So that leads us to resources. And I've only given you a few of these. There are so many different resources you can pull from, but this at least gives you a starting point and a framework because you're building your research acumen here. The library, whether it is virtual, it is a college or education institution, a public library has a number of resources that you can pull from and becomes very valuable in your research. Journals and magazines, and these are professional journals and magazines. These are not, and it's not to demean any others, but these are not popular magazines. These are magazines that are trusted within industries and within the framework of the 21st century workplace. These journals and magazines can provide applicable articles, citations, and additional information that's important. And then there's just a plethora of online databases, videos, library access, printed material that's been converted to online resources. There's a lot of information on an online basis that's out there that's available for you, as well as catalog services as well. So then that leads us to how our work, or making sure our work is of a quality nature. So what is it that makes research quality, or how can we become quality researchers? We have to be analytical, continuing to answer and ask the question why. And then have curiosity. Curiosity helps us with the passion to continue to try to dig and get more information that may be pertinent and applicable to the research that we're doing. Look to improve your writing. It's aligned to various audiences, or its alignment to various audiences is extremely important in research. So make sure that what you articulate in your writing is done so in a very good fashion, and be systematic. Check what you're doing, recheck it, and then check it again to make sure that it is of a quality nature, and have a commitment around what you do. Research takes time. And it takes effort. It is not necessarily easy to do. And so therefore, the payoff is such that you have to have a commitment to it in order to become good or proficient at it. And last but not least, ethics. You have to be professional in how you research and what you pull. Your work is not reciting the work of others. It's really looking at having a stewardship. You have a responsibility here, and there's a process and a system already in place that you're becoming a part of. And within that, you have an accountability. So give credit when and where credit is due. That's another reason why, if you do your own work, it really is not only much more rewarding, but you don't get into the stickiness of ethics that sometimes people find when they're trying to conduct research on papers, tasks, projects, etc., and assignments. So you should have questions. You should start asking yourself questions at this point to make sure you understand the expectation around research and why it is so critical in the process to help you with your assignments, to help you with your final plan projects, and to help you overall in the course. You don't have to wait for assignments and planned projects in order to conduct research. You can have a natural or a learned curiosity that allows you to be able to develop your research skills along the way in our time together. Here's your thought for the day. The only easy day was yesterday.